So in this session we'll cover first get blocks query. Okay, let me zoom in. Okay, so yeah, in this session we'll cover in this get blocks side, get blocks, all the get blocks. Then we'll cover next session is get blocks id. Then we'll create blocks, delete blocks, and update blocks. Okay, so we'll cover one by one so that we can easily understand and digest. Okay, so okay, let's get started. Let me add first a class. Okay, that is called as a view model. So whatever application layer returning the data, actually convert the data of entity from the entity domain entity. So we have to convert in a domain view model. Okay, so that view model we have to create first. So let me call it to blog bm. Okay, and let me create some property so that whatever we have want to return we can create it. Okay, so just create. Okay, and okay, I guess I don't think we have to return that image URL. Okay, so yeah, that is fine for this demo purpose. Okay, then we have to create a query class. Okay, so how we can do that? Let me create a get blog query. Okay, and make it to public, and just inherit I request interface. Okay, see, it is inside of that mediator, inside of the mediator interface. Okay, so let call it and see what need to pass of this here. We have to pass response. So what could be our response? We have to return response as a list of blog view model. Okay, which is just created. Okay, okay, this is a one way. There is another way actually. I think yeah, there's another way we can do that. I think instead of class we can use a record. Okay, there's a new way actually. So in this record we don't record this. Okay, like this way, see, and just do that. Okay, so yeah, there is a two way actually create a query class. The old version is the class and the new version is the record. Okay, so yeah, I'll move it to that old one also, just for knowledge purpose. I just share you. Okay, okay, and then what need to create? See, we have create a query class. So in this query class we have to implement as a one handler. Okay, so how we can do that in this CQRS pattern? So let me create get blog query handler. Okay, and then make it to public, and just inherit I request handler. Okay, so that we can pass it and we can handle whatever our request, what is our response. Okay, that's why we create this handler. And what is our request? Our request is get blog query, which is just created here. Okay, so this one actually our request. So pass it to here, and then what is the response? Our response is just list of blog view model. Okay, so yeah, that is done. And then why is complaining? Because it is complaining, it is an interface, so we have to implement the method as well. Okay, whatever implement in this interface. Okay, so once you mouse over here, then you will see this, see that bulb sign, and just once you click over here, just see the option of implement interface, so you can just implement. Okay, and let me just drag there. Okay, so now see, this is a handler class, handler method is generated. Okay, there's a by default it's just not implement exception is thrown over here implement, so we have to remove and we'll do our things. Okay, okay, now how we can get the data. Okay, in this handler, so in this handler we will get the data from our domain layer. Okay, so see, in this domain layer we already implement as a one abstraction repository. Okay, our blocks abstraction. Okay, so we have to inject this one and over here in this handler, and then we have to call those method. Okay, so see, direct I have create control constructor of this handler class, and what I need to do, I just inject this block repository and then uh, control dot, so it will show me the we have to assign of as a field. Okay, so just assign this, inject and assign create the instance of that. Okay, of the block repository, and then we can use easily. And how we can use that, just okay, just create a wait, because it is async method, so we have to add a wait, and then whatever our you know create instance property. Okay, read only property is a block repository, and inside the block repository we have those method, so we have to call this one, and that's it. Okay, and then we have to store a variable, so where just blocks. So we have create a property, we have assigned this whatever return type we have assigned over here. But see, the return type is a let me zoom in. So return type is a domain entity. Okay, so we have to convert to our view model. Okay, so there's a two way. Okay, so we have to there is a two way to convert whatever our domain entity to our view model entity. So we can use that IMapper. That is a best way actually to use here. Okay, but that is take some time, so I will create a separate session for that, to convert domain entity to our view model entity. Okay, which is using IMapper. Okay, but as of now, what I will do, I will just convert just normal way, like just select use the link queue. Okay, x create an entity, and just create a lambda expression, that view model, and then just author equal to x author, the name, description, and what else is pending, is a pending, I guess, id as well. Okay, so let me fix it, and then break this line to here, and also break one more line, and then finally what need to do, convert to list, so that whatever data it's looping through and convert to here, and then create a list. Okay, and then finally we store a blog list. Okay, and finally we have to return. Okay, yes, so that is done. But yeah, in the next session we'll convert, we will create a IMapper, we implement a IMapper in this clean architecture. Okay, uh, in this application layer, and we'll use that one. Okay, so but as of now, this is sufficient for the get blocks. So what we have to what we have to done, so just need to recap so that we can understand again. Okay, so in this get blocks query implement, what need to do, first we have to create the view model. Okay, whatever view model we have to return to UI and the presentation layer. So we have to create a block view model, and then we have to create a one query. Okay, there's a two way also, this create a query, like using the record on using the class. Okay, and we use the interface, I request interface, and return type is a response type is list of blocks. And then we create a handler, and in this handler we again we have to use the I request handler interface, and then use the request get block query, and then whatever response we want, and we have implement that interface method. And here we have to put our logic, our business logic. Okay, so we'll inject also our abstraction class, iblock repository, and inside that iblock repository we'll call our method, and just we have to convert and return back to there. Okay, so that is fine for this session. next session actually, or let me just build so that is there any issue or any error, so that we can make sure there is no error. Okay, see, let me zoom in. So there is no error, it is succeed. Okay, so yeah, next session will create a session of IMapper, how we can implement IMapper and convert it to that entity, domain entity to our BU model entity. Okay, to implement that IMapper, so what need to do actually, see, I already create a structure of that clean architecture in the application layer, and in this application layer I have already create a command, and inside the command in the mapping. So whatever the mappings we have to do in this clean architecture, we have to keep inside this mappings folder. Okay, so let me create an interface. Okay, not a class, it should be interface. So let me name it to IMAP from interface. Okay, so make it to public. Okay, and it should be a generic, because I'll create a IMapper which is just generic, so that I can use any entity. Okay, and what need to do, I need to create one declaration on this interface. It is called mapping, and inside the mapping we'll use that profile. We'll pass the profile, and this profile will just assign to profile whatever profile dot will create a map, and inside the map will map, actually mapping. So just type of whatever object we'll get. Okay, so this is a generic entity, and then get type, whatever get type over there. Okay, so this is done for IMAP from interface. Okay, let me do the implementation. Okay, so how we can do that, just create a class. Okay, the class, call it to mapping profile. Okay, so let me create that mapping profile class, and just need to inherit of that profile 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 class. Okay, and we need to create, we have to create we have to create a one method. Okay, first we have to create a constructor. Okay, and just remove the byte namespace. Okay, and just we have to we have to we have to do some logic. Okay, so that whatever object will get from that entity, so we will map, we will actually using the reflection will extract the property and value, and then we'll map over here. Okay, so that logic we have to return. So let me create private void, and just give it to name, like for example apply mapping from assembly. Okay, and pass it to the parameter call is assembly, and we'll have to do some logic over here. Okay, so let me copy paste, because there's a huge line of code to to do these things. Okay, so yeah, see, first we have to typecast of that interface, and then we have to trying to mapping whatever object we'll get in this method name, and then we have to do something uh, the definition and these things. Okay, and then we one by one we get the list of that assemblies types, whatever types we get. Okay, and then we create a profile argument type, and then each types actually whatever the list we are getting, so based on the each type actually we'll do one by one get the property and assign to convert over here. Okay, so this is a straightforward implementation. Okay, so it is a generic thing, so don't worry about that, just use and copy paste and use your application, that's it. Okay, and also it is a very straightforward, nothing it's so more complex. Okay, and what need to do now, just call to that method, so that whenever calling this mapping profile. So this method will call and will actually take that assembly and just map to that object. Okay, so call to apply assembly from that get assembly. Okay, assembly to get assembly. Okay, that's it. Control KD, so that create make a formatting this class. Okay, that's it, and save it and just open. Okay, and that is done for implementation of IMAP from. Okay, and now how we can call this map and things. Okay, so we have already have one class of configuration service. Okay, in this configuration service actually we already create, see, the AutoMapper, AutoMapper, we have registered actually AutoMapper and whatever assembly. So already we have registered. Okay, so in this case, uh, we don't think we need to do anything. Okay, we already actually registered this AutoMapper assembly. Okay, so I think that resolve the dependency. We didn't do anything over here. Okay, but yeah, once we'll run, and if there is an issue we'll fix it. Okay, and okay, so let me call how we can how we can call that IMapper and convert to our domain to view model. Okay, so to that part, okay, first we have to inject that IMapper class. Okay, so how we can do that IMapper? Just inject IMapper. Okay, and just create a field, and just same things we have to create a initialize, and then inside the constructor inject the IMapper and just initialize. Okay, and then what need to do, just comment out this line. Okay, and see, mapper, when you create a mapper, and this in this mapper dot will call the map, and inside the map or whatever things you want to map. Okay, so I want to map that list of view model, block view model. Okay, block view model to what is the source is this. Okay, so this is a domain, see, this is a domain list of domain entity list. Okay, and this is a source, and this is a destination. Okay, so that's it, and just we can just return this one, or just create a where block list. Okay, see, the mapping is done, but one thing we have to do, this is the, see, this is a one line, it is done. So every entity we can just we can map to directly over here like this one line code. Okay, so that is very nice feature give us to IMapper to convert to our entity. Okay, and one more thing we have to do, go to block view model. Okay, and also in this block view model we have to add that IMapper, you know we have to inherit that IMap from that interface, IMap from interface, and then pass it to whatever we have to do. Okay, so we have to do, like, we have to convert to this view model to block model. Okay, block entity. So where is we'll get from this entity one. Okay, see, so that is done. Okay, so let me recall what we have what we have do for this for this mapping. Okay, so first we have to create IMAP from generic entity interface. Okay, inside this we have to create one uh, mapping declaration. Okay, signature, and then we have to create an implementation over here, that so that whatever assembly we get, that IMapper we can extract and we can assign to our whatever entities we have to pass. Okay, so we have done from here, and then we have to do registration over this configuration service, so that we can resolve the dependency whatever IMapper things we are doing. Okay, so this line has to actually register our dependency. Okay, and finally in this view model we have to map to IMap whatever our interface, and we pass to which one to we are trying to map. Okay, so this blog entity we are trying to map to this one, so that's why we have just add like that. Okay, so that is done. Let me try to build so that we can make sure there's no any error. Okay, see, will succeed, there is a no error. Next session will cover this get block by ID. Let's get started. So first, what need to do? First, I need to create a query class, okay, of the get by block. And also, why I'm creating one by one every why I'm creating is showing that on a one by one implementation, because every implementation like is get blocks or get by ID, get by block by ID, or create, update, delete. So every things have some, everything is a similar, but yeah, there is a some minor difference. So that I want to understand, I want to help to understand, like, okay, what is the differences and how we can achieve if such kind of scenario will need in our real project. Okay, so actually it is also a real project example, so that's why I'm creating from the scratch and end to end flow. Okay, so first we need to create a class. Okay, let me create a class. Okay, the call is get blocks by ID query. Okay, so let me get that, get block by ID query. Okay, create that class. Okay, and then make it internal to public. Okay, and then set as the class, and same things what we have done in our get list of blocks query class. I need to inject I request. Okay, and here actually what we need to return. Okay, so we have to specify the return type of here, that response, what is the response we have to return over here. So basically we have to response blocks view. Okay, which is already created in my previous session. So, and also what need to do, like, see, this query we need to record one ID, ID parameter. Okay, so that ID parameter, how we can pass that ID parameter. So we have to create a one property over inside this query. Okay, it is very simple, just passing the integer. So if you want to pass an integer, so you can give that, for example, I'm just giving an example. So if I want to pass a parameter as integer, so I can set as integer. Or if you want to send a parameter as a class, so you can send a class. Or you can send a parameter as like a string. So whatever types you want to send your query, so you can send it to here. Okay, and just name it to like as here for this, in this scenario I'll pass it to block ID. Okay, so that I can get that block ID from UI and get that filter that from our DB and get that response of that blocks. Okay, okay, so that is done. And then what need to do, I need to create handler. So query is done, now need to create an handler. Okay, so let me create same as it is, get blog by ID query handler. Handler. Okay, so same, we have to just change it to internal to public. Okay, and again we have to inject I request handler. Okay, I already explained in a detail in previous session, so please watch that one. Okay, so see this I request handler, what it's doing actually, they're expecting actually two overload method. Okay, one is request and another is a response. So what is our request? Our request is that query. What is that? We have create a query, so just call that query get block by id query. So this is that one. Okay, and then what is the response we have to return back? So we want to return back our response is block view model. Okay, and then what need to do, see, once you specify your request and response, okay, in this I request handler, actually it is saying like we need to implement. Okay, see, this does not implement interface because this is an interface, so we have to implement that interface. Okay, so implement an interface, just you can just implement. Okay, just extract that method. Okay, so see, this is a already generated create like a handle, and whatever request, this is our request, and this is a cancellation token, and this is our response type. Okay, and now in this handle we have to call our repository. Okay, so where is our repository? Our repository is in our domain layer. Okay, so if you go to domain layer, see, here's our repository. Okay, this is abstraction repository, so implementation would be in our that infrastructure layer, so that will cover in next upcoming section. So yeah, don't worry about that. Okay, so yeah, as of now we have to call this one. Okay, in our domain layer, in our application layer. So where is that? Okay, here handler. Okay, so how we can inject it is very simple. Just create a constructor of that handler class. Okay, it is shortcut like CTOR and the step, and here you can just inject. Okay, pass it to as a repository as a inject, and we have to register also this one in our in our API layer. Okay, in our user interface. So don't worry about that I will show you how we can do that. Okay, so yeah, and also we have to create assign a private field and assign to in this constructor. Okay, so this is done. Okay, and after that what need to do, we have to call this, we have to implement our method. Okay, so this is our repository, and in this repository call to our method. Where is our method? By id, get by id async. Okay, and in this async method, see, the expected is id, so where I will get that id? This id will get in this request parameter. Okay, in this request dot you will get that block id which is we created. Okay, see, this is our query, this is our request. In this request we have a request id which will be getting from user interface. Okay, so go back to here. Okay, and then see, uh, now it is complaining. Okay, so what is this complaining? Is complaining just set as the response type. Okay, so just make it to await and async. Okay, also we have to return this block view model. Okay, so but you can see, just zoom in for a little bit. Okay, so let me again. Okay, so see the response type, let me zoom in again. Okay, so see, response type, whatever our repository is returning is a domain entity. Okay, so that needs to be converted in our that in this block view model. Okay, in our logic, business logic entity or business logic view model. Okay, so how we can do that? What need to do, simply you just inject IMapper interface over here. Okay, and change it to the because this is not private, it is a simple like IMapper class, so just create a variable over here and control dot just assign a create that create a private variable over here and then assign to your IMapper variable. Okay, so it is simple. And then what need to do, just store a variable, whatever response we are getting, store over here in our repository. So we are getting response of this entity, domain entity. Okay, and it is simple. We have to AutoMapper.map. Okay, and specify destination. What is the destination? Our destination is block view model. Okay, and then what is the source is this domain entity. Okay, so we pass it over here, and simply we have to return, because this is our return type. Okay, so this is this is complete. Okay, let me build so that we can make sure everything is building fine. Okay, see, complaining, it is not complaining any error, it is not giving any error. So yeah, and just final rebuild so that we can make sure everything is fine. Okay, so see, this is done for this get by block query. Okay, and this next session will actually implement in a command, and inside the command we'll first create will you implement that create block, delete block, then update block. Okay, so till now, thank you, have a nice day, and please don't forget to subscribe.